I call the Bristol City Council meeting of April 1st, 2025 to order. Mary Lee, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Hutton.
Here.
Powers. Here. Aker. Here. Turner.
Here.
Firerobin. Here.
I want to welcome everyone here this evening. We're glad that you're able to be a part of our City Council meeting this evening. Thank you for taking the time to do that. There are a number of opportunities throughout this evening for public comment matters on city business. And a sheet explaining those opportunities has been made available to you when entering the meeting room. As we go forward with tonight's agenda, I'll note each time when the public comment is welcome. In addition, there was a sign-up sheet outside the council chambers for those wishing to address the city during the meeting. So now we'd like to turn to our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight we are honored to have Boy Scout Troop number 3 here this evening. We're so glad that these young men could be here. Thank you for doing that. We got a couple of fellows that are going to lead us. Gordon Gillespie will lead us in our prayer, followed by Owen Skaroulis, who will be leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please stand for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. You can go to the microphone right there. There's a microphone right there. Yes, sir.
If you will please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we'll start by thanking you for this beautiful day and the ability to be here with everybody and all these lovely faces. We pray that you'll help us and our city council members to get things done to help the people who've been affected by Hurricane Helene, and we pray that you'll help them yourself. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
If you would please recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. If you would just give us an opportunity, the scouts are going to join us up here for a quick picture. If they want us to sit here, the scouts will be behind us.
Yes, that's fine. And boys, if y'all slide on in, because he's just got so much space.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on with our agenda now, Ms. Bourgeois, are there any additions to tonight's agenda?
No, there are not.
Awesome. We have 6 proclamations and 2 recognitions tonight. The first proclamation will be read by Councilwoman Aker. It's a proclamation about Library Week.
Okay, libraries of all types are at the heart of cities, towns, schools, and campuses serving their communities. Libraries transform lives through innovative educational resources and forward-thinking programming. Libraries ensure that all individuals, regardless of background or circumstances, have access to opportunities, resources, and spaces that empower them to learn, grow, and contribute to their communities. Committing to fostering an environment where all voices are valued, perspectives are respected, and everyone has the ability to thrive. Be it resolved that the Mayor of Bristol, Tennessee, proclaims April 6th through the 12th of 2025 as National Library Week. All residents are encouraged to recognize and support the vital role of libraries in their community.
Thank you. You going to the so would Ms. Kessner or Ms. Dunn, would you join us here? Normally we have the proclamations in hand, but we're running a little behind on those this evening, so we promise they exist and we'll get them to you.
Thank you, Mayor Hutton and members of council, for recognizing the library with the proclamation tonight. We truly appreciate your support. We value and depend on it as well. I'd also like to take the time to thank the Library Board of Trustees, the Library Foundation Board, the Friends of the Library, and the dedicated library volunteers, and also the heart of the library, which is our library staff, like Brenda Dunn here, who has worked for the library longer than I've been alive. So I do appreciate your dedication and your love for the library. So thank you to Brenda for being with me and helping me do my job well too. So I'd also like to invite all the council and all the community to the library during National Library Week at both the main and the Avoca branch, and anytime throughout the year, come and visit us and see what programs we're offering in our different departments and what resources we have, because we probably have things that you're not aware of, and we would love to be able to show you what all we have. So thank you again for recognizing us. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Now we have a proclamation honoring the 100th anniversary of the Cameo Theater. I'll be reading that proclamation. And then Samantha Gray, who is with Theater Bristol Executive Director, and Ann Vance with the Theater Bristol Board of Directors will be here to receive that proclamation. And by the way, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, we had the opportunity to do a ribbon cutting at the Cameo. It was really fantastic to be there and celebrate that great day, and also to celebrate with Theater Bristol as they're stepping into this new venture. So allow me to read this proclamation. The Cameo Theater, designed by architect Claude K. Howe, opened on March 30th, 1925 as a realization of a dream by C.A. Goebel. In this downtown Bristol theater, it was decreed that friends will meet friends here, families will meet families, and together they will rub elbows and enjoy the shows, laugh, and be revived. The Cameo was redesigned in the 1980s as an Art Deco-style theater by Jane Cruey. The Cameo was purchased and thoroughly renovated in 2017 by Brent and Stanley Buchanan to reopen in 2021, and was recognized with the Historic Preservation Award in 2022. In 2025, the 60-year-old Theater Bristol Company Theater, founded by Kathy DeCaterina, acquired the Cameo Theater to bring to the Playhouse live performances of plays, musicals, and theater education, inaugurating the stage with The Land of Gestures and Rumpelstiltskin. The mayors of Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia both recognize the Cameo Theater's 100th year anniversary, and we're very excited. Will you all meet me over here?
Thank you so much, Mayor Hutton and City Council. We are so grateful to have you recognize the 100th anniversary of the Cameo Theater. This theater has contributed so much to our community, as you've just heard, and Theater Bristol is pleased to have served the residents and visitors to our community for 60 years now, and they're very excited to become the new owners of the Cameo Theater with very special help. The work we do puts people on stage, it draws community together, and it invites new community. It's an economic draw, and it builds confidence and skills, and we hope to keep doing this by taking this big step with the Cameo. We both invest in the community and are a key part of its growth, and we've made sacrifices to prove the concept. And now we hope that in seeing it, others will join in and support us and help Theater Bristol become sustainable. We hope to see all of you at our shows, and we thank you so much for your continued support. We could not do it without you. Thank you so much.
Now, the next proclamation is Donate Life Month. Vice Mayor Turner will read the proclamation summary, and Ms. Gina Klusman and the Hospital Development Coordinator from Tennessee Donor Services will be accepting the proclamation.
Thank you. In 2024, Tennessee Donor Services served 488 organ donors and 2,639 tissue donors, which includes skin, bone, and tissue grafts, recovering 1,371 organs, resulting in life-saving transplants and providing bereavement support to more than 3,600 families in Tennessee. Each organ donor hero can give the gift of life to 8 people, and each tissue donor can improve another 75 lives. Tennesseans are encouraged to commit to registering their decision to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor in the Donate Life Tennessee registry at donatelifetennessee.org or at their local driver services center. Bristol, Tennessee supports saving lives through organ, eye, and tissue donation and finds the cause of immediate and worthwhile importance. And the Mayor of Bristol, Tennessee proclaims April 2025 as Donate Life Month.
Thank you so much. Like you said, my name is Gina Klusman. I am the Hospital Development Coordinator. I do work with Tennessee Donor Services. And today we do encourage everyone to become registered organ and tissue donors. There are currently over 100,000 people on the national waiting list. On average, 20 people do die every day waiting for a life-saving gift. One person is added to the national waiting list every 10 minutes. And the best way to help someone to become a registered organ and tissue donor, which you can do either at your local DMV office, or you can also register on donatelifetn.org. We do encourage all of you to talk to your voters during this month about the importance of organ and tissue donation, and encourage them to become organ and tissue donors. Thank you again for allowing us to come and talk about the importance of organ and tissue donation. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, Councilwoman Powers will read the proclamation summary about Arbor Day and Earth Day, and then Mr. Jeremy Stout from the Nature Center will be accepting the proclamation.
And how appropriate on this beautiful day, and if you're not have allergies, you're enjoying all of this beauty. Trees can reduce the erosion of our most precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heat and cooling costs, moderate temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business area, and beautify our community. Arbor Day, Earth Day is a unique celebration, focusing not on the past, but the future, and by planting a small tree, we affirm our faith in the future. The city wishes to thank the tree board members for their efforts in helping to improve the quality of life in our city. The Mayor of Bristol, Tennessee proclaims May 2nd, 2025 as Bristol Arbor Day, Earth Day, and urges all citizens to plant trees and commends them for reforesting our city.
No, thank you so much, Councilwoman Powers. So the Arbor Day Foundation began the Tree City program as a mark of distinction for communities which show a dedicated value to their urban forest and their natural resources. They started that program less than 50 years ago, and at 34 consecutive years, Bristol, Tennessee is among the oldest Tree Cities USA in the state of Tennessee. So to earn that designation, you have to have a tree board. You have to have a city ordinance codified into law. You have to exercise best practices with the urban forest, especially with regard to pruning and removal and planting, and spend a minimum of $2 per capita per calendar year on the urban forest, and hold and officially proclaim Arbor Day. So this year, Arbor Day will be at Avoca Elementary, and I personally invite you to come celebrate with us on May 2nd with 5th grade. And on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation and the Tree City USA Board, thank you for your continued commitment to our natural resources.
Thank you. Now, Vice Mayor Turner will read a proclamation summary of the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, and Ms. Crystal Kay, the 911 Director of Communications, will be accepting the proclamation.
Thank you. Emergencies can occur at any time, and when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. Public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. They are the vital link to our police officers and firefighters, monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. Public safety telecommunicators of Bristol, Tennessee have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. The Mayor of Bristol, Tennessee declares the week of April 13th to 19th, 2025 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Bristol, Tennessee in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe.
Just want to take a moment to thank City Council and the city for their continued support of the Communications Division. 911 telecommunicators have a very stressful job, and we truly do appreciate all the recognition we can get. Thank you.
Now, Councilwoman Feierabend will read a proclamation regarding the Fair Housing Month, and Mr. Steve Willinger, member of the Community Development Advisory Committee, will be accepting the proclamation.
Right. April 2025 marks the 57th anniversary of the enactment of the Fair Housing Act. This legislation, passed by Congress in 1968, seeks to eliminate discrimination and opportunities and to affirmatively make housing choices available to all Americans. The City of Bristol, Tennessee utilizes the Department of Development Services and also Bristol Housing to implement an effective and responsible fair housing program. The City Council encourages the unified efforts of federal, state, and local governments in promoting housing opportunities for all Americans. The Mayor of Bristol, Tennessee proclaims April 2025 as Fair Housing Month.
Good evening. Thank you to the staff of the City of Bristol, Tennessee. This is a great honor. I happen to be a realtor, and fair housing are the rules and guidelines that we follow. This is our lifeblood. Fair Housing Month commemorates the passage of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. This landmark legislation is important today for the same reason it was 57 years ago. It honors the principle that in the United States of America, no one should be denied housing because of who they are. Fair Housing Month is a time to renew our commitment to expanding home ownership opportunities. Thank you, the City of Bristol, for celebrating this with us. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have the honor and opportunity to recognize Mr. Lucas Patrick Roberts, City Council, Bristol, Tennessee Police Department, for his bravery and willingness to act in the face of danger. Major Terry Johnson will present this award to Mr. Roberts' parents. Mr. Roberts enlisted in the military and began his service this morning. So,
thank you. I do want to thank, good evening to everyone. I want to thank council for this opportunity to recognize a fellow member of our community. As you said, Mr. Lucas actually enlisted, and he was sworn in today, my correct? And this is his father, Mr. James Robert. So if you don't mind, I'll read the citation real quickly, and we'll give this to his father. The City of Bristol, Tennessee, and the Bristol, Tennessee Police Department express its gratitude and admiration to Mr. Lucas Roberts for his bravery and quick action during an encounter with an assaultive individual at his place of employment. During a dangerous incident at his place of employment on June 28, 2024, Lucas acted swiftly and without regard for his own safety to protect others. When an individual in the business began threatening employees and customers, Lucas intervened decisively, restraining the suspect and preventing further harm until law enforcement arrived. Your bravery directly contributed to the safety of everyone present, including an unidentified female customer who had been assaulted. Your actions exemplify courage, leadership, and an unwavering commitment to the well-being of your community. The Bristol, Tennessee Police Department commends you for your heroism and proudly presents this certificate of recognition for your outstanding service. These were the responding officers. Thank you, everyone.
I apologize. I didn't know if I was allowed to speak or not. Excuse me. Lucas asked, since he could not be here this evening, to thank the City of Bristol, the Police Department, and the District Attorney's Office for supporting him in this endeavor. Unfortunately, after this event, he was terminated from his position for protecting a customer because it wasn't in line with company policies. And as a parent, I really appreciate what you folks have done to help us reinforce that he did do the right thing. And there are still good people who are willing to stand up for everybody else. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, I hope you will extend our gratitude to your son, so thank you. Thank you. Now we want to do a recognition of Hurricane Helene local hero recognition. John Luttrell will share a video of the heroic efforts of many of our community members, including our Bristol, Tennessee Fire Department personnel, specifically during Hurricane Helene.
Good evening, Mayor Hutton, members of council. Thank you. Tonight I am pleased to present an item of recognition for something that actually happened 6 months ago, but that in many ways feels like it was just yesterday. We all remember the events of September 27th, 2024, when Hurricane Helene reshaped the landscape of our region forever. I think we can also all acknowledge how blessed we were in Bristol to have not seen nearly the level of devastation experienced by our neighbors all around us, literally to the north, south, east, and west of us. Just this week, city staff have been finalizing the mountains of documentation required by the federal government to help cover the expenses incurred by our organization in response to the storm, but tonight we want to step back to that Friday in September. It cannot be overstated that every single city department was engaged in some form of response to Helene, both on the day of the storm and the weeks and months that followed, and it would be virtually impossible to share all of those stories. But there is one story, however, that actually took place about 45 miles from where we're sitting tonight, a story that received national attention, though that many still don't realize had a direct Bristol connection. Tonight, for perhaps the first time in this level of detail, we're pleased to present this story in their own words. I will say that what you're about to see is a condensed version of the entire piece, which also contains remarks from Bristol Motor Speedway President Jerry Caldwell and Unicoi County Long-Term Recovery Group Chair Nathan Farner, though you will not hear from those two gentlemen this evening. I do highly encourage everyone to go to the city's YouTube channel and Facebook page, where the full video may be viewed immediately following tonight's meeting. And at this point, as gracefully as I can, I'm going to go turn the lights down so that it's easier for everyone to see and hear the video this evening.
just leave them like that.
Breaking news tonight, Helene gaining strength and now an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm.
From Tallahassee to Asheville, life-threatening river and flash flooding, a major flood event likely across the Appalachians.
They've had so
Huge pop. Pause just a moment. Let me end the slideshow. IT's coming to help.
Breaking news tonight, Helene gaining strength and now an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm.
From Tallahassee to Asheville, life-threatening river and flash flooding, a major flood event likely across the Appalachians.
they've had so much rain. The rain is tapering off, but that doesn't mean it's over because now the rivers are aggravated. They're rising, getting to record levels, and then spilling.
A really dire situation. We will see likely rescues in these areas, washed out roads, et cetera, with this kind of situation continuing to unfold through the morning hours.
September 27th, I had actually had a scheduled meeting with my Unicoi County EMA director. And the thought was just kind of go over, touch base with Jimmy, see what the river was looking like, get some pictures, send them back to Nashville. Kind of just a fun morning for the weather system that was coming through. So I was on my way there to meet him over at the courthouse where his office was. And I called him just to say, hey, I'm in Unicoi. Am I still meeting you at your office? And he's like, hey, listen, just for the heck of it, just divert and meet me over at the hospital. I just want to go by there and just make sure that they're aware of any plans that we might need to put in place in case we need to evacuate.
Went to the Unicoi County Memorial Hospital, met up with Michelle Madison with Tima. We had a meeting that morning. And she had called and said, hey, we're going to meet, but since it's flooding, I'm just going to come over. I said, ain't no flood. Ain't nothing going on in Unicoi County. Just a little wet. Come on over. Everything's still the banks.
I go to the hospital, park in the lot in front of the hospital, and I wait for him. And as I start waiting for him, my phone starts ringing, and it's the National Weather Service saying how they knew I was in Unicoi. I still don't know, but they're like, we know you're in Unicoi. Can you tell us what the weather looks like? And I'm like, well, it doesn't look too bad. I'm like, it's gray, it's raining a little bit, it's gusty, but it doesn't look too bad. And they're like, can you see the river? Well, you can see, if you look just right from the parking lot, you can see the Nola Chucky behind the hospital. And I'm like, well, she's looking a little high. She's moving fast. I see some trees falling down. I said, but she's not looking gosh awful bad. And they're like, well, if anything changes, just call us and let us know. The EMA director, Jimmy Irwin, he got there, and we go inside the lobby. And he's standing there with me, and we kind of looked at each other, and I said, Jimmy, I just don't have a good feeling. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I said, my gut is just telling me that we just need to pull the trigger and evacuate.
And at that point, my worst fear was, okay, we're going to evacuate. Nothing's going to happen. And I'm going to get my butt chewed out at the end of the day. Here we evacuate and cause all this hate for the day. And we kind of laughed and made the phone call to the maintenance guy at Unicoi County Memorial Hospital, which called the director. And within 20 minutes, we had EMS there, had fire there, Irwin Police Department, the crew, the employees of the hospital. We'd had a pre-plan. We'd talked about it days prior if we ever had to do a evacuation. They were in the process of doing it. They were making it happen.
I go around the corner, I come out of the hospital, go around the corner of the side of the hospital to find the EMA director to tell Jimmy I need his help back here. And all of a sudden, the whole front of the hospital, there's water everywhere. I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, where did this water come from? Because it should have come from behind us.
But one of the things that got us, there was the egress and egress coming into the hospital was lower than the hospital. And the water had broke over probably 300 yards above us. And that became underwater. It came underwater enough to where it was not safe enough to get the ambulances out. They were able to get one or two of the bigger fire trucks out. Had to help some people get some things out that had started that way. So at that point, we realized, hey, we're going to have rafts or something to get people out of the hospital.
So the Tennessee District 1 Urban Search and Rescue Task Force is a state asset. It's a district team for 9 counties in Upper East Tennessee. It's made up of jurisdictions, Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City, really any other agency that has trained qualified personnel that want to be on the team. So my day started just as a normal day. I had my little boy, we were milling around the house, and we knew that we were supposed to get some storms. About 9:30, Assistant Chief Castle calls my phone. He says, hey, swift water deployment, you're going to Carter County, grab somebody and go now. Okay, no problem. So I dropped my little boy off with my dad and met firefighter Jonathan Rourke at Station 4. We got our equipment, a truck, and started toward Johnson City to the rendezvous point with the rest of the team that was coming from Kingsport and from Johnson City itself.
And whenever we got our debriefing information from Washington County, I'm originally from Mountain City, and that's where they told us we was going, because they said it's flooded over there and there's a lot of people trapped and we need you to go now. And it's kind of like it hit home for a second, because it's like I'm going back to my hometown and it's flooded over there.
Coming through Johnson City, Sullivan County EMA Director Jim Bean called my phone with an urgent message to divert from Carter County to the Unicoi Hospital. He relayed information that Michelle Matson from TEMA was there, and they were trying to evac the hospital, and they were in pretty critical condition at that point.
And then they was like, we're redeploying you guys to Unicoi, Irwin, because the hospital is getting flooded, and we need you there like 30 minutes ago. It's getting bad. So coming up the road, coming up the interstate, and Austin's like, man, we don't see a whole lot of water. We don't see a whole lot of debris or anything like that. And then as soon as we rounded the last curve up there before you can actually see the hospital, and the water is already like over into the interstate, and we was like, oh, that's bad. That's real bad. So we just immediately just pulled off the side of the interstate, and we just started unloading the boats, getting ready, throwing gear on, unloading boats, and wanting to get to the hospital as quick as we could, because we knew that it was going to be the water was going to be coming, and it was going to be coming fast.
There's a gas station just east of the hospital that provided a little bit of a launch point for our boats. There's a ditch in front of it that we were able to back our boat trailers into and launch our boats. At that point, at really any time that we get requested, we are Plan B. They're unable to get out on their own, and they need some help. So we are Plan B.
So me and my captain, Austin, and then we had a medic from Washington County that was actually driving the boat 10 miles, and we just tried to get across as fast as we could. We're dodging like pieces of houses and huge piles of debris just to get to the hospital. And then when we got over to the hospital, there were already wheeling patients out on hospital beds and wheelchairs, and they're like, just the hospital's flooded and the water's rising.
So then I think at some point, Austin and I made contact with each other because my next concern was the water's rising. I mean, and it's rising fast. I would say in probably 15 minutes, it went from ankles to knees.
The initial plan was to load our critical ER patients in boats, motor them back across, and start shuttling ambulatory staff and others. But when the river wall broke, we knew that we were going to have to shelter in place and start devising a Plan C.
And it was once we seen like big, huge stumps and trees, and then every so many minutes, like a house would come by, or a building or a garage. It would just come floating by, and we automatically knew, like right then, like we're not going to be able to go back. And then we put more and more boats, and we just kind of pushed the boats in a little bitty corner of the hospital. Less current. There was a whole lot less debris, so we was just like, well, we'll put them on here on the boats and push them up in this corner until we kind of get a game plan together.
And then at that point, reality really hit because now we can't get out from ambulances, we can't get out from boats. Our only option now is helicopters. Thank goodness that the Swiftwater guys were there. Thank goodness that we had a fire truck there, because at that point the decision was made to start evacuating everybody to the roof. So they took just a normal ladder off the fire truck, threw it on the side of the hospital, and the Swiftwater guys, the law enforcement guys, the fire department guys were helping the nurses, helping all the patients get back on the roof.
We were very fortunate to have random resources on scene, such as a fire truck. The Irwin SWAT team was there to lend a hand. So we were able to get a ladder off the fire truck and get everybody that was ambulatory and able to the roof, to a safer spot.
So we got everyone on the roof. Our patients in the hospital still stayed in the rafts. Our Swiftwater technicians from Johnson City, from Kingsport, Bristol, was taking care of them, helping them. And I've said this many times, it was God's send. On a normal day, I wouldn't have had those 4 or 6 people from another agency that were Swiftwater trained, that were ropes trained. Because if they had not been there, there'd only been 2 of us there that would know how to get the ropes.
The other strike team leaders and myself conversed, and the decision was made to send some swimmers through the ER, collecting medical supplies, blankets, anything of use.
And we was wading through the ER, just trying to find any kind of blankets, sheets, anything that we knew that would help better the situation for our patients. And we put them in plastic bags and waded it back out there to them, just so they would have a little bit of something until we could get them out of the situation they was in.
We knew that there was a storm above us and on its way from North Carolina that would prevent aircraft from flying, and the decision was made to just get as comfortable as we can to reassure everybody that was around us and prepare for the long haul. The group of people that we had, staff, Dr. Oceanbine, other emergency responders, we were all pretty like-minded in the fact that our patients were the first priority.
So while all this is going on, I'm on the phone with my parents, and I'm like, Mom and Dad, I'm like, I love y'all. This is not good. If y'all see it on the news, this is what's happening. I'm like, because I was thinking that maybe I wasn't coming back from it, but I wasn't like sure yet. So I kind of said my goodbyes to my mom and dad, came back around the corner, got up on the roof, and started FaceTiming Nashville because I was sending pictures to Nashville, I was talking to Nashville, but they weren't seeing it in real time. So I FaceTimed them to show them how dire the situation was. Half the Swiftwater guys stayed with the boats with those critical, so as the water went up, they kind of went up with the patients to make sure that the patients had care. At that time also, I would like to say I was totally stoic and oh, I've got this. But there's a couple times I broke down. I called my girls, FaceTime my 3 daughters, and I'm like, Mom's, because I'm like, I'm not coming off this roof.
Most people called their family, told their families goodbye. Multiple times. I talked to my wife several times. Kept telling her, hey, I'll be home. Everything's good. She's upset. Called my son, talked to him. But back in my mind, I was like, hey, we got to get off this roof. We got to get off this roof.
You could definitely tell the worry in the patient's eyes. And one of the ladies that I had in my boat that I was attending to, I was like, sweetie, I said, I know this is rough, and I said, I know you didn't anticipate being on a boat in the middle of a flooded hospital, but I said, if you could just take some time, just think if you're on a cruise in some really dirty water, and we are going to get you out of this real shortly. Just bear with us.
While we were up there, we had prayer. Everyone got in a circle, and we had prayer. Some of them sung some songs, what it took to relieve their nerves and their pressures, to keep everybody calm. And everyone done life or death situation, they're calling their families, but everybody stayed positive, and everybody stayed calm.
When I knew that my state vehicle was going to go underwater, I waded out to it and I grabbed my portable radio. Why, I don't know, but I grabbed it, which was a good thing because that gave me communications with the Blackhawks.
So a couple helicopters had called and said, hey, what's your frequency? We can talk to you. And I had directed them to my communications guy, and I was like, all right, we got help coming. So the first 2 helicopters come in was Virginia State Police, and when those helicopters come, I was like, all right, we got a chance.
When you hear that sound of those rotor blades in the distance, that was the first time that I was like, we're going to get off this roof.
Virginia State Police was the first helicopter to us. We're very, very glad to see them. I actually know that flight crew personally, and there was a casual exchange of, well, I'm glad to see you. Once the aircraft started showing up, that's when we knew that the work was beginning. We had a whole lot of people to get out of there, and we had to do it real quick.
I remember my captain looking down to me, and he goes, we've got some Blackhawks coming. And then what they're going to do is they're going to land on the roof. The people that is inventory, they're going to start taking them out, and then we're going to do these things, what they call pickoffs. And they send Army personnel down, and you're going to hook them up to a hoist system, and then they're going to hoist them up in the air, and we'll do that one at a time until we get everybody gone.
And thinking back on it, it was never discussed, but we knew that we were going to be the last helicopter off that roof. That's what we do. So as helicopters started coming in, we were able to get with our boat medics, get them to triage their patients by acuity so that we could get the most afflicted out of there first. The ambulatory staffers, doctors, nurses, things like that, they came kind of midways. Other emergency responders picked up the tail end, and the Swiftwater team was the very last helicopter off the roof.
After everybody was gone, we got up on top of the roof, and then a Black Hawk just come landed on the roof, picked us up and took us. And when we was lifting off and we was headed back towards the hospital, we just kind of looked out the window and we're like, we was in the middle of all that water. We was at the hospital, and the river, it just seemed like it just swallowed the hospital whole.
And when I came up in the helicopter and looked at the industrial park, I was like, oh my God, that has flooded too. I saw the bridge was washed out. We didn't know that. So reality set in even worse. And if someone says that at that time that their mind's in the right set, it's not. my mind was on the right set because we just made a life-to-death situation and got out of it.
When we got off the hospital roof, somebody had brought our truck to us. It was sitting in the parking lot of the high school. When we set foot on the ground, one of the other strike team leaders said, "Hey, we got to load back up and go again." And that's what we did. I'll say that the Bristol, Tennessee Fire Department alone supported search, rescue, and recovery operations for 13 days after our disaster.
They're our district team, and they train all the time to get deployed on swiftwater missions. For them to be in a position where they could divert and come to that hospital totally saved lives that day.
Unfortunately, we lost 6 lives during the flood, and it took us several weeks to find all of them. But we were determined not to quit till we found the last one. And I'm proud to say we did find all of ours that got hurt in Unicoi County and died. We also found some out in North Carolina that had washed out from North Carolina. So trying to bring as much closure to the families as possible. Without the resource that we had from the regional swiftwater team and those men and women and their expertise and their training, there's a possibility that we'd had 4 more victims at the hospital.
For me, it has changed me. That experience on the roof has given me a totally different perspective on life.
That day, the next day, and every day after, so much outpour of help came from our neighbors. People are still giving and helping, and people rebuild their houses, rebuild their lives. That day, a lot of people's lives have changed. And still yet, 6 months later, I'll talk to someone that I haven't talked to, and they tell me their story. Everyone who was in our area that day has their story, the things that happened to them that no one else knows until they share it. It's kind of like 9/11. Wherever they were at that day when that flood hits, that's something that's going to stay with them the rest of their lives.
Understand that we're trained to deal with and to adapt to the most uncommon things that you can imagine. So training absolutely prevailed. Adrenaline had a big part in that. But 3 to 4 days after, when I was home alone, reminiscing on things, I had talked to Michelle every day since that event. It hit that we experienced a once-in-a-lifetime event that I hope nobody ever has to do again.
We use the term of we're going to get wet. We're going to get wet today, and we know we're getting in water. If we know we're getting in water, we're going to help somebody, and that's what we like to do. So when it really set in, it was probably like 2 days later. And then people that you don't work with every day, they would send you like pictures and be like, "Man, did you see the stuff that those guys got into over there at the hospital?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I mean, why would anybody want to do that?" And then like, so you know, a whole lot of people we never really even told right off the bat that, yeah, we went over to the hospital and this is what we done. This is why we done. Because it takes a few days for that to set in, and to know that what you did and why you did it, and then whenever you go back home and you don't hear the sirens no more, you don't hear the water rush, and you don't hear the helicopters buzzing over top of you and the rotor wash, and you're like, a couple days later, you're like, wow, that was really awesome. We got to do some really cool things, and we got to save a lot of lives that day, and everybody went home, and for us, that's a good day.
just like to say a few things about that video, in that, when we make a decision to send our people out into harm's way, that's a tough decision. We made a decision to send people that morning, and we have people that are highly trained in a lot of different fields, and that's a once-in-a-lifetime response probably for these guys. They've been in a lot of dangerous situations before, but in my communications with them through that day, at one time Austin said, "Chief, we may have lost the truck." And I said, "What do you mean you may have lost the truck?" And he said, "Well, we parked it, and now this is where we're at in this deployment, and we can't see it anymore. So we're hoping somebody moved it." And fortunately they did. And then communicating later on, after they were getting people on the roof, and they didn't know if they were going to come off that roof. They didn't know if the hospital was going to stand until they could get helicopters there to remove them. And you heard Michelle say that she basically called her parents and her daughters and told them goodbye. But I will say one thing about these guys and her. In the face of all the dangers they're in, they kept their composure. And they did what they had been trained to do. And they put the lives of the others ahead of theirs. And these two gentlemen here were the last two on a helicopter to come off of that roof. They would not leave it till they made sure that everyone else was safely on the other side of the water. And then when they sent me that picture, that those big smiles were on the helicopter, that's when I got to take a deep breath. Because, they went willingly. And, as a fire chief and as a city, sometimes we don't think just how much of harm's way they put themselves in. And when we're sending people for training and things like that, sometimes we don't think they will ever use it. But this is a perfect example of how that saved probably 50-some lives that day. And thank you for putting this recognition together for them and for the many others. We had a lot of personnel, police, fire, utilities, all day long here in the city working. But these two guys were in a different place, doing a different thing, and they did it exceptionally well. Thank you.
That's more like it, Chief. This evening, we do not have any presentations, so we're moving on now to our Board of Education Liaison Report. Mr. Cuddy from the school board chair, will be reporting for us. Mr. Cuddy?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're excited that you're going to see a different board member at your meetings. So we thought this year that would be a good thing for us to be able to do this monthly update with you all, so you could see more of us and we could see more of you all, and really try to get our communication amongst each other even better. We do want to thank you for all that you have done over the past several years for our school district, from the middle school being created and built to the Stone Castle last year. We're still receiving awards for the Stone Castle. It's a beautiful structure. I know all of you all have been in there since it was done. We thank you for that. There's so many things to be thankful for within our city, within our school district. You hear me say it all the time. I do feel and believe that we have the best school district in the state. However, we do have a clear vision, and that vision is we want to be the school of choice in Sutherland County and even broader throughout the region. As you all know, with the passing of the voucher bill, also the bill that's getting ready will be passed most likely, allowing athletes to transfer. NIL money, we now have several athletes within the Tri-Cities that have now signed NIL deals. And so there's a lot of things that are going to be coming at our school system, trying to take our students away. But the thing to me that's the most important that will hurt us is if we start losing teachers. And that will happen because we are now within the region one of the lowest paying school districts. And that is because some of our districts in our outlying communities have decided to take really large increases to dive into their fund balances to create a very unstable balance sheet for the years to come for their districts. And we as a school system and as a school board, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go down that road. We have always been so good. We've always been fiscally responsible. We've been good stewards of what the funding that we get from federal, from the state, from the city. And so what we have to try to do sometimes is think outside of the box, and we have to think, what has worked in the past. And one thing that we have had, not recently, but for over 15 years, was a cost of living increase that we got each year. And so we are going to respectfully ask for City Council to take that into consideration and to see if that is something that can be brought back from the city. It is imperative that we have that funding to help make sure that our raises are in line with other districts. Also, better paying positions, keep our teachers in our school district. No different than how you all have struggled recently with, retaining firemen, policemen. It's a struggle. We all have struggles within our two areas that we're working with. And so we're doing the same thing you're doing, just trying to find ways to keep our very best teachers. I'm in the schools a lot because I have children that are in the schools. And, the more that I talk to our teachers, the more that I see them at work, the more that I see them pouring into our students, I don't want to lose any of them. And we're starting to see that, not because they don't love our district, but just like any of us. If we can go somewhere and make more money, then that's what we're going to do. And so we are going to ask that City Council take a look at that. We also are in the process of doing our budget. We are budgeting for raises that are equal to what the city will be doing. We feel it's important that our raises coincide with the raises that the city does for their employees, just so it keeps everything in harmony between the two, between city workers and the school system and our staff. Because as you all know, they all talk, and there can always be some unhappy people when they hear, well, they got this, we didn't get this, or we got this and they didn't get that. So we're just trying to do what we can do to keep everything in harmony. We had school tour a couple weeks ago. Kelly and Mary Lee and Margaret was able to attend. So we looked at Avoca, Holston View, and Hangsfield. We missed the rest of you. We hope very soon to do the rest of our schools. So it'd be Fairmount, Anderson, the middle school, and the high school. So you guys can take a look at what we're doing and the needs that we need. With the growth that we're starting to see on the west side of the city, and 394, I think it's going to be imperative that our communication gets even stronger between the two of us, so we can really plan for the future. And I know a lot of that also has to do with planning and communicating with the county as well, and we know that, and we're willing to do that as well. But I say all that to say, again, thank you for what you're doing for us. I think our relationship is stronger than it's ever been. I look forward. I know our joint work session was canceled due to just some schedule, so I do look forward of seeing that get put back on the table so we can meet all of us together and prepare for the future, prepare for what is to come, and continue to pour into our district, knowing that it is one of the best in the state. And also, before I take any questions, if you didn't see the news from our last board meeting, we did pass approvement of $2,000 bonuses for our full-time employees, $1,000 bonuses for our part-time employees. That coincides with the $2,000 bonus that was made available from the passing of the school voucher bill. We just felt like that was the only right thing to do. We had to take care of our other employees. Our teachers are where the rubber meets the road. But as I've had over the past several weeks, several of our teachers who have seen me out have told me thank you for taking care of our EAs, thank you for taking care of the people that make it to where we can do our job even better. And so I'm thankful that we were able to do that because we have been good stewards of our fund balance, and so we were able to do that. And so we're excited about the future. Any questions?
Any member of council have questions for Mr. Cuddy? Mr. Cuddy, I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
So I can take it from your remarks that you were asking City Council for additional funding.
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to the county as well?
We will.
You will?
Yes.
Okay. That's very important because every time I hear additional funding, I think sometimes we forget that it's taxpayer dollars. Mm-hmm. And so you're asking for taxpayers to support the school system even more.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. This is the last time, last month, the person that came told us that there was going to be a $600,000 to $800,000 shortfall. So and then now we're getting bonuses for everyone. The blood money from the state, as I heard it called, was earmarked for teachers, but now we're doing it for everyone, right? So, but now we're talking about a shortfall, but you're asking us to provide cost of living increases.
I'm asking for what you all did.
Mr. Cuddy, I'll let you speak. Now you'll let me speak. Thank you.
I'm just trying to answer your question.
Well, I haven't finished.
Please go right
Thank
ahead,
you.
my friend.
Well, I'm just curious. I mean, this is a public. You wanted to make that request public, and so we can do the same.
Right.
Right.
And I understand that, and that's how we're supposed to do it. From what I was told so many years ago, that I've always done things politically incorrect, so I thought I would come and do the politically correct thing. And also, I would like to know. And I know you're sitting there and you're loving this. I see it all over your face.
Mr. Cuddy, that's enough. We're not going to go personal.
Okay.
I haven't gone personal with you, and I appreciate if you stay professional. Thank you.
Well, you did say someone called it blood money, and nobody in our board said that it was blood money.
Mr. Cuddy, that is patently untrue.
Okay.
It was recorded, and we have it.
Okay.
So we know that it was said.
Okay.
And I'm not pointing out who said it.
Okay.
And so
Well,
we all on council want to do everything we can to support our teachers and our school system very much.
Well, it didn't sound like when you just said that we were giving bonuses to every employee.
Well, are you not giving bonuses to every employee?
Yes, because they
Right.
deserve it.
But at the same time, last month, Mr. Taylor said that there's going to be a shortfall. Now, the city is not giving a $2,000 bonus to every employee in our city. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're working very hard to raise the salaries of all of our employees.
Right.
We're doing all the service. We are walking through it very, very carefully. And so this is the first time I think this council is hearing that the school system is asking us to provide a cost of living increase in the budget for next year, and at the same time,
well, Kelly
there's
knew.
going to be a short.
She knew that we were going to be
shortfall.
asking this, so I'm sorry that she didn't communicate that with you.
But still.
But also, I know you aren't giving the bonus, but our hands were tied by the governor who passed the bill, and so if you would have felt comfortable, if you would have been on the Board of Education and you'd have felt comfortable looking at all the support staff and saying, well, we're sorry you're not a teacher, so you can't get a bonus. Our hands were tied, and so we're doing what's best for our teachers.
I hear that.
Okay.
But now you're coming to the city saying that we're not supporting you enough. We're not providing enough money for the school system. On one hand, you're saying we're providing all the support. On the other hand, you're telling us that we're not supporting enough. And we're looking at this whole thing saying, you all, the school system, is almost 40% of our budget. Now, I know that we're only 9% of your budget, but we also know that a few years ago that the county commission has consistently taken money from Bristol, Tennessee City Schools as well as Kingsport City. They've done it to build a jail. And we encourage members of city council, members of our school board to go to the county and ask for that money. We feel like that we're doing a great job of trying to support our schools. We are steadfast in supporting our schools. And we will do everything we can to make sure that our teachers and every member of our school system is supported. So, I mean, I don't have any more questions for you, Mr. Cuddy. We have a lot of work to do as a city and a school board. We have a lot of work to do. So I don't have any more questions. Does any other member of council have questions for Mr. Cuddy? All right, thank you. All right, we have two public hearings on tonight's agenda. The first is Ordinance 25-4. It's an ordinance to update the city sign regulations and to create a new chapter 13 of the zoning ordinance for the sign regulation. This public hearing is open for Ordinance 25-4. Chair DeYoung will present.
Thank you, Mayor Hutton. Good evening, council members. Tonight I'm here for the public hearing and second reading for the sign ordinance project that we've been working on for some time. This work was prompted by a Supreme Court decision in 2015, and work began. I'm sorry. No, I don't know that that's any better. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Is that a little bit better? Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize for the low volume. But this work began with the city in 2020. Our Planning Commission has worked on this sign ordinance for a number of years, over 18 regular meetings and 2 dedicated work sessions, and in October of last year did vote to send a favorable recommendation on the sign ordinance to City Council. City Council has heard a presentation on the sign ordinance over 3 work sessions, and we did have a first reading on the sign ordinance at the March meeting. Following the March meeting, staff held 3 public input sessions for businesses. We worked with John Luttrell in Community Relations to publish the sign ordinance workshops, and we did have 4 people attend those in March. So not a huge showing, but that certainly won't be the last of the education sessions that we would seek to do before this ordinance before this ordinance becomes effective in October. So I know you all have seen this presentation once or twice before. I'll hit the very top highlights. And then can certainly answer any questions. So the big what is changing, what is not changing. What is changing is that we are going to have a dedicated chapter of the zoning ordinance dedicated to signs, and hopefully this will provide a little bit more ease in communicating regulations to our business community and residences. We will be adding an off-premise sign definition with this sign ordinance update. The big information on what is not changing. We are not impacting those big permanent signs. So ground signs, wall signs, electronic message boards, billboards, every regulation relating to those sign elements will be the same as it is in our existing regulation. So the community doesn't need to expect any big changes with the big permanent signs that I know some have made quite an investment in installing. So this sign ordinance is really going to impact those temporary signs. So very briefly, we are adding a definition for off-premise signage. We are going to allow off-premise signage in our residential districts. We are going to remove the temporary sign permits that we currently have that's based on promotional signage or special events, and really tailor the new ordinance to allow a very set number and type of sign. So you'll see in this new prohibited sign list that we will now be allowing off-premise signage in our residential districts. We are prohibiting drone signs as a new item in this sign ordinance, and then prohibiting some of the temporary signs that we have, like pennants, streamers, and then the sky dancers, which you see on the screen. We will be moving to a chart-based format that we can give folks in our residential and commercial districts. So what you see on the screen here is our residential sign chart and 2 types of the signs that are allowed in the residential districts. And then we'll have the same sign charts in our commercial districts. The differentiation in these 2, I know they're hard to read here, but hopefully if anybody's watching at home, they can see them a little easier. We will have signage for single tenant parcels, and we will have signage for multi-tenant parcels. So individual business on one parcel versus a shopping center. So we'll be able to break out the charts based on those types. Finally, we'll have an industrial district chart for our industrial parcels in town. And then with that, I think that captures the summary of changes. Again, we'll continue to educate and do more flyers, more mail-outs, more talking with individual business owners as we continue towards October 1st. But if the ordinance is adopted this evening, that would be the effective date of the ordinance.
Thank you, Chair. Would anyone in the audience like to address the council on this matter? If so, please come to the podium and state your name before making your comments. Seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to Ordinance 25-5. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 5 of the industrial districts of the zoning ordinance to allow automotive repair and maintenance as a permitted use. This public hearing is hereby open for Ordinance 25-5. Chair Young will now present.
Thank you, Mayor. So the ordinance prompted here tonight, we're at a second reading public hearing for the M2 ordinance update. This work was prompted by a property owner in the M2 zone who wished to have an auto service establishment at his business. As staff began looking at the permitted uses in the zone, the M2 district allows a great many industrial type uses, but didn't allow the auto service establishment. So we talked to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did recommend the addition of this auto service establishment in the M2 zone. That meeting was held and it was discussed on February 17th. The Planning Commission did vote to send a unanimous approval to the Planning Commission to make the change. So if approved tonight, we will be adding just a simple insert into the M2 district to allow auto service establishments.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? If so, please come to the podium, state your name before you make your comments. Seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. Okay. Moving now to the appearance of citizens. This is the section that provides an opportunity for the public to address City Council on any matter of city business. A response will most likely not be made at this time, since in most cases neither the council nor the city manager will be prepared to effectively respond to the concern. The city manager will look into the matter and report back to the city council, or as appropriate, have staff meet with you in an effort to satisfy your concern. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual and are not transferable to other individuals. Groups are encouraged to select a spokesperson to represent them. A list has been provided of individuals desiring to address council this evening. And first on the list here is our very good friend, Mr. George Link.
George Link, 1100 Georgia Avenue. I just want to say what's been going on for the last 2.5 years with me working with the City Council started here about 28 years ago, which hurt to say that very loudly. Boys, emergency preparedness, citizenship in the community, both very important merit badges. I'm an Eagle Scout from your troops, so I expect you to be up here in about 20 years. If not sooner. Anyway, moving forward, I just want to address Resolution 2533, a resolution authorizing entry into an agreement with Pillar Design Studios for professional design services, in particular for the skate park. I just want to take a moment and actually thank city staff and members of council for the last 2.5 years of dealing with my badgering and insistence on this project, starting with Terry and then working to Mike Maines and Taylor and Kelly and then poor Danielle this last month having to review the contract, and Alex in purchasing, and all of you in your personal time and almost every public moment that you have seen me. I have said skate park or mumbled it or implied it. I just want to let you know you have instilled a lot of hope in a very passionate community here. I do want to let you know that it is so much hope that a young and enterprising 20-something-year-old has started the process of building and stocking a skate shop on West State Street that will provide skateboards, BMX bikes, ultimately some scooters and inline blades too. So it'll be the first skate shop in Bristol in over 20 years. So your investment in the community is already starting to manifest other activities. And I just want to let you know you are appreciated. The staff is appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Link. All right, now we're moving on to appointments. Board of Zoning Appeals. We have one candidate for one open position on the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. Kelly Graham. Does anyone like to speak on behalf of Mr. Graham?
First, I think, I know he served as chairman of our planning commission and also has served on this board previously some years ago, so I think will be a good addition.
Any comments? Ms. Bourgeois?
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Turner has Kelly Graham. Excuse me, Councilwoman Powers has Kelly Graham. Mayor Hutton has Kelly Graham. Councilwoman Akert has Kelly Graham. And Councilwoman Fire-Robin has Kelly Graham.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have one candidate for the Bristol Housing Board for one open position. That's Ella Kane. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of the candidate?
I can speak on behalf. She served a couple of terms on our housing authority, and she brings a lot of experience. She also serves on our community development advisory board. So that's nice to have those positions overlapping so that they work in tandem together. And her professional work that she does in Department of Social Services, she brings that to with her talents as well.
Ms. Bourgeois?
Thank you. Mayor Hutton has Ella Kane. Councilwoman Powers has Ella Kane. Vice Mayor Turner has Ella Kane. Councilwoman Fire-Robin has Ella Kane. And Councilwoman Akert has Ella Kane.
Great, thank you. We have two ordinances on first reading to consider tonight. The first is Ordinance 25-6. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 74, Article 2 of the Sewers and Sewage Disposal Division 5 of the Code of Ordinances to update the limits on various pollutants. Mr. Mark Quickle, Director of Utilities, will present for us. Mr. Quickle?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. At our last work session, I presented on this, so just to give a brief overview of it. Every so many years, we partner with a engineering consulting firm to review not only the plant's treatment capacity, their treatment efficiency, but any change in industrial users, as well as just the overall usage within the sewer infrastructure, both on the Tennessee side, the Virginia side, as well as those customers in Bluff City and Piney Flats. So in conjunction with analyzing our waste stream, the plant, every so many years, based on that information, we have to make adjustments to those treatment capacities, the limits that the industrial users are allowed to discharge to the plant, just so we can make sure our treatment plant stays up and running and operating within state and EPA regulations. So that the changes that this is encompassing have been reviewed by both the Infomark, the contractor that we use for the wastewater plant, the environmental engineering firm, as well as myself. And those changes to these industrial discharges are representative of what needs to happen in our waste stream.
Mr. Quickle. Does council have any questions for Mr. Quickle?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve and a second. We have a second. Right. Right.
Yes.
Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion among council? Nope. Mary Lee, will you please call the roll?
Fire-Robin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Akert?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Quickle. We have ordinance 25-7. It's an ordinance to amend the zoning of Bristol, Tennessee by designating a certain property at 247, 251, and 261 Bellbrook Road as R2 single-family duplex. Ms. Young will present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we're here for, I don't want to be too loud. Tonight we're here for a first reading of an ordinance to rezone property on Bellbrook Road. The parcel is one parcel here. It looks like two. It's actually a parcel that was never fully subdivided that's split by Wessex Drive. So parcel one, and then there's a parcel here that are applicants to this rezoning request. Mr. Marty Parker is one applicant. He is with us this evening. Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence and Vicki Jones are the other. And the request is, again, to go from R1A, which is this low-density single-family zoning, to R2, which is a single-family and duplex zone. Very briefly, here are two images on the screen. So this kind of shows the area that we're looking at for rezoning. This direction heads back towards Vance Tank. This direction back towards Bluff City Highway. The main differences in the two zones, R1A requires a larger lot size, so over 14,000 square feet for an R1A lot. R2 drops down to 7,500 square feet. So if the rezoning moves forward, Mr. Parker would be able to subdivide the larger of the lots to put new homes on more lots than just the single lot. Not a whole lot of difference in the uses other than a duplex. So a duplex would be allowed in R2, and it's not currently zoned in an R1A zone. A couple differences in the setback requirements. So moving from an R1A to R2 zone will allow a little bit larger building footprint. Not building footprint, a building envelope. So there's a little bit more room to site the new homes on the site. A little bit larger setbacks in the R1A zone. Future land use map shows this area, and it all looks like the same color because it is. So here are the parcels for rezoning. This is all classified as a low density, single family type land use classification, which R1A or R2 would fit under from a future land use perspective. Finally, the Planning Commission did look this over and recommended to send a favorable recommendation to City Council on this request. It was a 4-2 vote, and that was during their meeting on March 17th. Next steps for the rezoning, if approved this evening, will be a second reading and a public hearing during the May meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Are there any questions of council for Ms. Young?
Motion to approve.
So motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion among council? Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Robin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Akert?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
We have two ordinance for second reading tonight. Ordinance 25-4 is an ordinance to update the city's sign regulations and to create a new chapter 13 of the zoning ordinance for the sign regulation. This item was presented by Ms. Young during the public hearing earlier this evening. The public had an opportunity to comment during that public hearing. Are there any questions for Ms. Young on this matter? Nope. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 25-4?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mary Lee, will you please call the roll?
Robin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers? Yes. Akert?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
All right, we have ordinance 25-5. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 5 of the zoning ordinance to allow automotive repair and maintenance as a permitted use. This item was also presented by Ms. Young during the public hearing earlier this evening, and the public had an opportunity to comment during that public hearing. Are there any questions for Ms. Young on this matter?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Mary Lee, will you please call the roll?
Robin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Abstain.
Powers?
Yes.
Akert?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Great. We have 7 resolutions for consideration tonight. The first is Resolution 25-33, a resolution authorizing entry into an agreement with Pillar Design Studios for professional design services. Mr. Mike Maines, Park and Recreation Director, will present.
Mayor Hunt and members of council, this is a great night. in so many different ways, and it's a pleasure for me to come before you this evening and discuss this great project that is to come for the city of Bristol. Over this past weekend, I often would like to take an opportunity to share with you some great stuff, and so Saturday we had close to 200 kids at our soccer field with a partnership with the school system, and it was wonderful to see the families that were out there playing. Then you go to White Top and you see thousands over the weekend of soccer players and youth baseball players too. So that's a part of recreation, and what I'm about to talk to you about is another part of recreation that's extremely important to our community. So this is a resolution tonight authorizing entry into agreement with Pillar Design Studios for professional services. We took a considerable amount of time with George looking at several different engineering firms that could assist with this project. And from that, we were looking to obtain a consulting team that would include qualified skate park professionals, and we've got this in Pillar. Also, engineering, landscape architecture, planning, and related expertise. This team will lead the design and oversee the project development and master plan for a new skate park for the city of Bristol. After a lengthy process, we went with Pillar. They have over 300 skate parks throughout the United States, and this first phase will be $38,000 spent on design itself. And again, we're excited, and we feel like we have selected the right firm to do this project. Do you have any questions?
Any questions of council of Mr. Maines?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
5-33.
Do we have a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion among council?
I think we all wanted to make the motion and second for this one, so at least note that since we didn't. But what George didn't talk about specifically is the community that he's built around this, and the people who've been, he talked a little bit, but it's a group of supporters and excited. I think some of those have lost some of the faith, but hopefully with this decision we'll start bringing some of them back. There's still a strong group, but it's hard sometimes working through the processes, et cetera. So we're very, very excited to get to this point, and look forward to getting the design done and coming back with the next steps, et cetera. So.
Any other discussion? So,
It's okay. I guess that, I'm not sure if you've heard, we were, and hopefully will be passed, talked before until the vote, but, we have, there's some money that was put into, that the governor put into his budget, this session for this park, so, we're keeping our fingers crossed that that money will be coming in that was going to help with this park. So
we'll continue for obligations with the skate park project. We're bringing in another $300,000.
great, fantastic. Any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second. Rayleigh, will you please call the roll?
Robin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Akert?
Yes.
Turner?
yes.
Okay, we have a resolution 25-34. It's an initial resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $10 million of general obligation bond of the city of Bristol, Tennessee. City Manager Kelly Bourgeois will present.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the initial resolution just to get the process started to begin the notification process for an up to $10 million general obligation bond for various capital projects, the stadium being probably the largest one, the baseball stadium. This does not commit the city council to any specific dollar amount, nor does it commit the city council to bonding at all. It just provides the initial kickstart so that if the council chooses to move bonding forward, that we are able to do so in a timely manner. And we chose 10 million because that's our bank qualified annual limit. So we don't anticipate going in for a higher number than what we would be bank qualified for. That gets us a better interest rate. Scott Gibson will be at our April work session to talk through what these numbers will mean and how the funding would have to work if council chooses to move forward with bonding. And then Mark Mamontoff will be our bond legal counsel for if council chooses to go through with issuing bonds.
Thank you. Are there any questions of council for Ms. Bourgeois? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 25-34?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I would just like to say that this too has been a long time coming. We have deliberated and debated for quite some time as to how best to move forward with a lot of our capital projects. I would encourage the public, if you have not had the opportunity to come to any of our budget work sessions, that you do come. Mr. Scott Gibson is a fascinating man that understands this world of governmental and municipal finances, and it's always very enlightening when he comes to share perspectives with us. So I would encourage everyone to attend our work sessions if at all possible. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I would just ditto that we have talked initially about, when we talked about projects, about how we might want to go to the bond fund, et cetera, and that follows some of that discussion. This follows it.
So we have a motion to second. So Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Firerobbin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Akerd?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
We have Resolution 25-35. It's a resolution authorizing entry into an agreement with Friends of Steel Creek Nature Center and Park. Mr. Maines will, Director, Park and Recreation Director, will present.
Mayor Hunt and members of the City Council, believing in partnerships, we have been working closely with not only George's group, and we appreciate all the hard work he's done and put in, but also with the Friends of Steel Creek Park. A wonderful group of volunteers of 18 that have raised over $600,000, actually $500,000 in local donations since 2016. They came to us several months ago and with the interest in working into a memorandum of understanding with the city with operations. And at the request of that, it would outline the roles, responsibilities, expectations, create a shared understanding between the city and Friends, and just support the overall Nature Center's mission. One thing that's happened recently today, which is exciting, is we had a visit from the American Alliance of Museums at the Nature Center. They came in, looked at our facility, were extremely impressed with not only the Nature Center, but our park in general. That's one thing I hope that our citizens will begin to take a closer look at, especially with a $10 million playground structure going into the middle of the heart of the park. But right now, the Nature Center is something that is beautiful to see, and I hope that everyone will take a chance to go out and visit that soon. So we're requesting tonight to enter in this memorandum of understanding. We thank Danielle for her hard work that she did on this, and appreciate everything she always does for us.
Are there any questions of council for Mr. Maines? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 25-35?
Motion to approve Resolution 25-35, authorizing entry into an agreement with the Friends of Steel Creek Nature Center and Park.
And I'll second that.
Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The only thing that I would say, Mayor, is that the $10 million playground is a gift to
Yes,
Bristol,
ma'am.
and we feel very blessed and fortunate to be the recipient of such a gift.
Absolutely. Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Firerobbin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Akerd?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. We have Resolution 25-36, a resolution authorizing entry into an agreement with HDLA for professional design and services. City Manager Kelly Bourgeois will present.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We received a proposal from HDLA Landscape Architects for the Shelby lot for our Shelby Street event space. This would be a not-to-exceed contract for up to $24,000. This is for initial schematic. HDLA would provide the city with up to 3 concepts, 3D drawings, different charrettes to present the concepts. This was presented to the City Council at the March work session, and we are excited to work with HDLA. They're out of Nashville. They've done some incredible park designs that they were able to share with us, and we look forward to having them come in and show us what they could do for that site.
Are there any questions of council for Ms. Bourgeois? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 25-36?
Motion to approve 2536 with the agreement with HDLA for professional design services.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Fire
Yes.
Hutton.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Akert.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
I have Resolution 25-37. It's a resolution approving a financial contribution in an amount to be determined and authorizing entry into an associate agreements to support regional efforts to recruit additional airline service at the Tri-Cities Airport. City Manager Kelly Bourgeois will present.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an item that's been discussed at a few different work sessions now, 3 to be exact. Mr. John Rose from Bridge presented back a few months ago. Gene Causey, the Executive Director of Tri-Cities Airport, presented a couple months ago, and then we just had another follow-up discussion at the March work session. There is a new airline interested in providing service at Tri-Cities, which would be very beneficial, but all of the information is really confidential at this point, so it's been a bit of a challenge just working through those pieces. But in order to have the airline come in, they would require a minimum revenue guarantee to backstop their potential losses to get their air service up and running. And that minimum revenue guarantee is in the total of $2 million, and that is, the goal is to have that shared by many entities, all of the partners of the airport, and then other entities as well. So far, Sullivan County has committed, the City of Kingsport has committed, the City of Bristol, Virginia has committed, Washington County has stated they are, Johnson City has stated that they are as well. There has been discussion with our council about where that money would be housed. Right now, the cities are committing but not really giving the funds to any entity until the airline is established, the documents can be signed, and then they can determine where that money will go. Given the timeline, right now, we're right in the middle of budget, which is difficult. This airline does require a commitment by April 7th for them to start their service in the fall of this year. So the way that the resolution has been drafted, and this was discussed at the work session in March, is it establishes that the Bristol, Tennessee City Council does support the regional efforts to recruit additional air service, but it establishes that the dollar number will be created or determined during the budget process for the City Council.
Are there any questions of council for Ms. Bourgeois?
So I was not able to attend the work session, so this will answer the question for April 7th for the time being, till we get more detail, et cetera.
It does express the support, and that is what really is needed. The Bridge is the one managing this process, and they've not shared what other monetary donors have provided. So really there's kind of an unknown out there. But at this point, given our budget process, it's difficult to make that commitment, especially for moving into fiscal years 26 and 27. It would be a 2-year commitment, is what the airline is looking for.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 25-37?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Just for clarification, we are making a commitment of interest and support. There is no dollar amount attached to it.
That's correct. Yes. All right, no more discussion. Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Robin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Akert?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
We have Resolution 25-38. It's a resolution approving sale of a portion of property to G.W. Mullins. Danielle Smith, City Attorney, will present.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a relatively tiny piece of property, so hopefully I can be brief. We were approached by a neighboring property owner to our water treatment plant intake property. There is a small portion of that water treatment plant intake property that is separated from the main body of the property by the public road, by the county road. It's approximately 0.3 acres based on the property tax assessment website. The property owner next door has asked if we would be willing to sell it to him because he would like to be able to extend his property all the way to the road. We do have a sewer line that runs through it, and so we would be retaining an easement so that we would be able to access that sewer line, repair everything else. The value of the purchase is not determined yet. He would be obligated to go and get a survey done, and then it would be the price per acre times the amount of property that's actually in there. The price per acre would be determined by the property assessor's website, which at the time that we wrote this was roughly $122,000 for the entire property, so $5,880 per acre, I think was the figure that I came up with. So anybody can check my math if they'd like to. This property is not useful to the city other than as a location for that sewer easement, but since we would be retaining that sewer easement, there's really no harm to the city in giving it up. Nobody else will want the property, and so we would be getting a fair market value for it, and it's an arm's length transaction, basically. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I think it's... So.
Any questions of council for Ms. Smith? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2538?
Motion to approve Resolution 2538, approving the sale of the portion of property to G.W. Mullins.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion among council? Mary Lee, please call the roll.
Robin?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Akert?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
And we have Resolution 2546. It's a resolution authorizing entry into a First Amendment to the wastewater operation and maintenance agreement between Infomark, LLC, the City of Bristol, Tennessee, and BVU Authority to operate the wastewater treatment plant. Mr. Quickle, Director of Utilities, will present. Mr. Quickle?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So as a reminder, the wastewater plant is a joint operation between the City of Bristol as well as Bristol, Virginia Utilities. So as such, we employ a third party, Infomark. This amendment comes from the desire to better handle the biosolids that are created, separated out of the waste stream, and need to be disposed of properly. So while we are still looking to land apply, we are moving some of our operations to a landfilling venture. That way, we have functionality. Land applying is very weather dependent. Typically dry, hot, so your summer months. If you have a very wet summer season, that biosolid mass can accrue, and the necessity to dispose of it becomes that much more important. So this allows some fluctuation in if it's bad weather, we can remove some of the stockpile by taking it to a landfill. I think it's also of note that at our most recent Joint Sewer Oversight Committee, which is governed by members of this council as well as the BVU board, that this was approved or given a thumbs up, so to speak, for approval of this amendment. So there are any questions.
Any questions, council, for Mr. Quickle? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 25-46?
Motion to approve Resolution 2546.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mary Lee, will you please call the roll?
Firerobin,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Akerd,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Quickle. Then we're moving now to the consent agenda. Ms. Bourgeois, would you please read the consent agenda?
Yes, thank you. First, we have minutes of the March 4th City Council meeting. We have minutes for the March 20th City Council work session. Approval of Resolution 25-39, authorizing entry into an agreement with LDA Engineering to conduct an inflow and infiltration sanitary sewer study. Approval of Resolution 25-40, authorizing the purchase and installation of an emergency standby generator for our fleet maintenance department under the Sourcewell contract. We have approval of Resolution 25-41, authorizing the purchase of a Dell tape library equipment through TIPS USA, which is also a cooperative purchasing association. Approval of Resolution 25-42, awarding the bid to K&M Construction for Fire Station 3 restroom improvements. That's the Phase 1 demolition portion of that project. And we have approval of Resolution 25-43, awarding bid to K&M Construction for Fire Station 3 restroom improvements Phase 2. That's the actual building out of that. We have Resolution 25-44, awarding a bid to HD Supply for purchase of 5 new turbid emitters and controllers for the water treatment plant. And then approval of Resolution 25-45, awarding a bid for property maintenance and mowing services to MJB Enterprises for our codes department.
Thank you. Would any member of council like an item removed from the consent agenda? Nope, great. Do I have a motion to approve the items included in the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would anyone in the audience like to address council on any item in the consent agenda? Good. Mary Lee, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Firerobin,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Akerd,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
All right. Time now for city manager's report.
Thank you. Just a few things. The first and probably the most significant, we received notice from Gary May, the Director of Public Health with Sullivan County, that the clinic building that they were hoping to use grant funds to purchase, and it's also the building that we have our employee clinic housed in, the grant funds that were going to be used for that were withdrawn from the state. So they are working to try and figure out another option. We have a seller that is wanting us to move forward with something. So I was approached to see if we would, by the realtor who had talked to Mr. Mays, to see if we would be interested in purchasing the building and potentially leasing it back to the county, or if there were other options. So I told her that I would bring this to the city council tonight just for some feedback. I do believe it's a good purchase, and we do still want to try and get that county public health clinic here. My question, just to kind of a straw poll for council, is would you be interested in entering into a purchase agreement with one of the conditions being and finding an agreement where the county either finds the funds to purchase or we do a lease to them to continue to move this project forward, or if you would rather just walk away from the purchase?
I'd like to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we've been waiting a long time, and yes.
So the total price is $630,000. Of that, $630. Of that, about $189,000 would be square footage that the city would own. Our plan was that the city would retain ownership of for the employee clinic. So it really leaves about $450,000 for the county to come up with, on top of any renovations they would have to do within the space. But I think that's a reasonable price given the service that it would provide to our community members. But that's just.
Sure. Have any? I think we definitely need to continue to move forward,
Okay.
see what we can do, speaking to our county commissioners and working with them, and I think we can find a positive solution. My understanding was it was that it was the federal government withholding, and that's why it wasn't the state kind of, it was a federal action that kind of took that money off the table. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay. So I will work with Danielle on doing a purchase agreement. We'll have the typical contingencies in there as well, survey, appraisal, all of that. It'll always require council approval.
Well, I would say that we would would we not need to come up, before we, pay for those services, the fact that, of getting with the county, of the fact of having an agreement with them that, and also that it is an agreement that's going to be honored.
Yes.
And that the money would be coming to the city.
Yes, and
Sewer.
that would be a condition of the purchase agreement as well, is that we have a formal agreement with the county. Whatever that looks like, we don't know. And I did tell the Realtor that would have to be a part of it. So we'll work on a document for that.
And is it appropriate for me to say something, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. I always get my Robert's rules a little confused. And Bristol has been without a public health care facility for how long now? Years. And in the meantime, there have been other health care facilities for other communities, and Bristol has gone without for quite some time. So I really think that it's important that we do move this forward. But I think it's important for the general public to understand that we have not had a public health facility in Bristol for years. And we have people that have needs for public health. They do not have the transportation to go to Kingsport or to Bluntville, while we do try to provide that on some level. And so this is something that's been discussed for quite a while. It is not a knee-jerk reaction by any means. So I just wanted to be sure that the public understands where we're coming from in this discussion this evening.
Thank you. Then next, we have our all-day budget work session on April 22nd. We will also have a regular work session on April 29th. That will be at 6 o'clock. April 22nd, we typically start at 9. That will be at the Nature Center. And then lastly, and I know you've all received a copy of the letter, but just to let the public know that there was a letter sent to Bristol, Virginia regarding the landfill last week from our attorneys to push on getting documentation and finding out just information as to why we've been receiving more odor complaints and what's going on with that and with the wastewater coming out of the plant. And that's all I have.
Thank you. We have city council comments.
I'll jump in, Mayor.
Great.
I'd like to thank and recognize this evening Ms. Velma Witt. Our staff does a tremendous job of compiling all of the information for our meetings. We receive it digitally, but this has been the review for this evening. And Velma puts all of this, she compiles all of this at direction of the city manager and others. But she's the one that makes sure that we have the information that we need. And it's a big lift. And we appreciate you, Velma, very much. There are a lot of other people to thank, and Clayton is here tonight from BTES. We appreciate all that BTES does for us. I could go on and on, but I won't, Mayor.
Any other comments? Councilwoman Akert, do you have any comments, right? No. Margaret?
Of course. Sorry. I even typed them out, so y'all may be real sorry. But first, I just wanted to note several things. Theater Bristol, it's a big lift for them to purchase the Cameo, and that protects it historically, but they are reaching out to the community for their support. So as we think about things that we want to help monetarily, certainly keep in mind Cameo, and also I hope people will go visit it and the shows that are coming up. Community relations, I want to also thank y'all for the Helene and Chief Carrier, for your staff and the rest of the city staff that worked with that. And I imagine it was hard for the folks here to watch it, even though it was a good ending. That was a lot of intensity, and really appreciate what our community relations department did with putting that together so that we can commemorate and thank and celebrate the people who worked with that. I'm thinking, and after Kelly talked, that Sullivan County Commission, I believe, meets on third Thursday, and I think it'd be great if our commissioners could learn about our health department, have, touch base with them before that time, also again about our schools. And I think it would be great, we have gone in the past with our school system, that see whether we can organize to go and talk both about our health department as well as about our school system. And I know that's a school work session night, but the people are planning to meet, so maybe we can plan to go visit Sullivan County Commission and have opportunity to express ourselves at that meeting. So, Kelly, I don't know if you can follow up to see if that's a good idea and if that's something that we feel would be a good idea to do. And I wanted just to take a few minutes, and it goes a little bit with what we've seen tonight and what I feel strongly, just to say that I appreciate the privilege and responsibility that comes with this position of City Council that I hold and that all five of us up here hold. And we, as City Council members, frequently express, like tonight, our appreciation to our staff, to our city manager. Also, we appreciate each other for the work that we do in not always agreeing, but working hard on what we do. We pride ourselves on our city's professionalism, our transparency, our having and holding ourselves and our staff to standards. We're conscious of the responsibility we have with taxpayer dollars. Our processes frequently include studies before we undertake projects that might be projects or increases or changes in staffing or other major works of change. And we have appreciated the in-depth work that our city manager and HR department have taken to look at each department, asking them what they need to do their job the best they can, looking at staffing. Are there too few, too many? Are there ways that staff time and skills could be better utilized? Are people using their talents in the best positions? This is done to continue to provide the best in municipal services to meet our mission of building a sense of home for all through exceptional service and community engagement. On council, we do our best to respond to our citizens and know that we are held to high standards. We don't expect less from our citizens, and we don't expect less from ourselves. But I feel called to talk about this time of chaos, of rushing into change, staffing and budget cutting, and we just heard about one that affects us directly tonight, that I want to thank our staff, our leadership, our council for being thoughtful, our study, our information gathering, our evaluation, our anticipation as best we can of consequences before we make decisions. And I believe that this is what is expected of us. And further application, this is what I expect from leadership at all levels. I hope that everyone shares that expectation as well. So thank you for allowing me a few minutes.
Your mic's
also have another guest this evening, former council member and mayor, Malin Luttrell, is here with us this evening. Thank you for coming out. Thank everyone else also for being here.
Absolutely. I want to thank the folks from Troop 3. We really appreciate you all being here. You are quite a troop that you sat through this entire meeting. most people would have bolted a long time ago, so you guys are be commended, and I hope you get a merit badge for endurance or what, you know. So thank you all. It was really a pleasure to have you all here, so thank you. We're very grateful that you were here. I also just had the honor on Friday to represent council at Anderson Elementary School. Clayton was there as well, and TVA was presenting the art teacher there with a $5,000 grant. It's one of two in our area. The other one was Westridge, and so we got to spend some time with some fourth graders and see this great project that she's got going on. So that was really a fantastic thing to be able to represent you all there, and so that was a great time. So I don't have any other comments. I'm sure we're all ready to wrap it up. So the meeting is now adjourned.